Welcome to the Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
And we're starting with this. The breakout star, you may remember, of the Paris Olympics, Australian dancer Raygun. Well, she says she will no longer compete because she doesn't want any more scrutiny. So if you don't remember... Derek has some feelings about this. Okay, so Raygun, of course, became famous for her, let's just say, creative moves in the breakdancing category. So, do we think the public went too far with teasing of Raygun?
Me too. I feel the exact same way. I don't feel that they went too far, only because where I was sitting, I didn't see her getting death threats or any of that nasty stuff that can come out. For me, it just seemed like it brought everyone together. Her lack of self-awareness brought us collectively together. And I almost wish that she didn't make this announcement, because it just continues this theory of a lack of awareness, self-awareness, like making an announcement, guys, like a very serious, almost like press conference. I'm not gonna compete anymore. It's like, okay, like we weren't waiting, you know? Who asked?
Nobody asked.
Yeah.
Nobody asked you.
Yeah.
And it's love seeing the legend go out on top.
Yeah.
Just like, but I think what you said, she went down to give us a moment of worldwide unity, which I think should be applauded. I think that's really beautiful. And usually I'm like, let live and let live. Like, let these people just, you know, they're but come on.
It was unity through laughter, though.
It was. But it's like, how
laughter.
did she? And you know, I blame the Olympics. That's who I blame, because it's like...
You gotta take a few other people, her friends, her family, and everybody who's ever seen her. They all need to be taken down.
But Andrea, how did she make it to that? Like, how is it even possible for somebody to make it to that level?
Well, this is what happens when cultural appropriation happens to people, where it's like you have an art form, and then it gets watered down so much, and people are like, oh my gosh, you're killing it. Now, if you'd taken her to the streets of Brooklyn before she went to the Olympics, you'd be like, girl, get off that cardboard and stop playing around. It would have been a completely different thing, but I think that she's playing us.
You do?
I think she's playing us, and I'll tell you why. She made an announcement recently. Actually, you know what? It's better if I just show you. Roll the tape so you guys can all see the announcement she made. So Raygun has a challenge. She's challenging people to a dance competition.
Come on.
If you think you're a better dancer than her, look, there she is. She's throwing down. She's challenging you, and the winner can get $10,000, no, 10,000 Australian dollars, which is roughly just over 9,000 Australian dollars. So I think she knows exactly what she's doing, and she realizes, you know what? I think her feelings were hurt at first, and I don't want to make light of her mental health. No. But I think she finally got it. She's like, wait a second, I'm the most famous white woman who breakdances. There's money to be made here.
Oh, wow.
Cultural appropriation be damned. I'm gonna get my check, and that's what she's doing. Because I see you, Raygun.
Okay, that's fine.
And she's retired, but in 4 years, I bet you she's gonna have a big comeback, big splashy comeback. Yeah.
I mean, I found it striking. I didn't know all the intel about her. Did you guys know that she's actually a teacher? So she's a professor. She's got a PhD.
Someone pays her to teach
Someone pays her to teach. She teaches like hip hop, I think, and breakdancing theory. So she definitely.
She should be a judge for the Olympics.
No.
You can't be a judge. You can't not be able to do it and then judge others.
Fair.
If I was a competitor, I'd be like, hell no, she's not. I will not compete. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous.
What I found quite striking about this was that, like, I don't know, I think most of us are quite self-critical. It's one of the things most women in particular suffer from imposter syndrome.
Yep.
We sit there, I know that if I catch a glimpse of myself, I watch the show afterwards, I'm like, oh, what did that happen, whatever. Did she never, ever watch the tape back? And like
But isn't there a beauty in that? There's some sort of joy and innocence and naivete, like, hey, listen, this is gonna surprise you, it's gonna surprise the country. I'm not a strong dancer.
What?
But I know, and I didn't know it until adulthood, and then I remember it was very recently, maybe a year or two ago, where I was dancing and I saw people laughing at me, but I wasn't trying to be funny. And no, don't feel sorry.
Like Elaine Seinfeld-ish?
Yeah, and I always thought like I was a really good dancer. And then I remember being sad for a bit, but then thinking they were laughing and I was spreading joy. I'm not gonna stop dancing the way that I wanna dance.
Yes!
So
we applaud that. I'm gonna applaud that, because I hate when I hear people say, I don't dance, and they refuse to join a social gathering. It's like, get on the dance floor, it's not that serious. But when you join a competition, when you're
the Olympics,
get gold medals,
I didn't immediately definitely go to the Olympics.
That's where it changes. And I think if you're dealing with a child who wants to go into competition to get better, I think it's different. She's 37 years old.
She got a lot of participation trophies. That's what happened. She started thinking, I'm actually good at this. And then
self-parenting, where there's gonna be a lot of
gentle parenting,
Just saying.
We're raising a bunch more of these.
Participation's my middle name. Moving on, a woman wrote to Slate to complain that her husband goes out of his way to cater to her. And she feels smothered, like she can't even go to the grocery store without her husband being like, I'm gonna come with you. She says he only wants to be with her, but she needs some solitude. So would this annoy you? Basically, too much attention.
Yeah, right? It's too much.
Are angry boys. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know about you, though. I remember as a teenager feeling like this is what I wanted. I wanted a boy or a guy who would just adore me and sort of follow me and put me on a pedestal. But then if you've ever had that experience for a moment, it does feel, I think, for most people, kind of smothering. One of the most sobering moments I had in my relationship with Jason, when we were in our honeymoon period, like full on, you know, those like, just like,
can't keep your hands off each other. Right.
And you're just totally, I remember saying to him, I'm kind of embarrassed to share this, but like, you're gonna love me forever? And he actually said, I don't know.
He was honest.
And at the time, I thought it was the most unromantic
Did you get into a
thing.
fight?
No, I think I just sat with it. And actually, it's one of the biggest gifts because it actually tells, there's no, with romantic love.
You don't know.
We don't know anything.
That's a very mature answer he gave, actually.
Like, you gotta keep on working for it. And I think that that's what maybe this guy is missing, is this, like that he's actually not leaving any space for that.
So I had that relationship in high school. I had a boyfriend who just was like, I'm gonna drive you there. You have a job interview, I'll take you. Oh, you're going here, I'm gonna be with you. And then I slowly realized that, and at first it was so sweet, my friends were all jealous, and then it got to the point where it was like, he wants control. Like it wasn't that he was so sweet. He just wanted to make sure I was going where I was saying I was going. He wanted to be with my friends because he wanted to know I wasn't talking about
can be very
it.
dark.
Okay,
that can have
right,
dark.
Sorry, I went there, but I don't know. This guy seems more like a puppy than a partner.
He's a semi-retired.
You know, so maybe he just doesn't know how to fill his day. I agree that it would be annoying, but what's more annoying is that this couple simply isn't having the conversation. There's a nice way for her to approach him and just say like, oh my God, I love you and I love that you're giving me but let me go to the grocery store alone or visit with my friends alone. And there's also a way for him to communicate to her, like, I'm going through a transitional moment. I've retired. I'm not too sure how to fill up my days. It's very common among people, I think, when they, especially men.
Tough time.
And, you know, like, help, what can, let's work through this. They're not having that conversation.
See, this is so interesting because I'm the only person here who's not married or not in a long-term relationship. And this is the only reason why I would get married. Like, in my dream scenario, seriously, in my dream scenario, I don't get married until maybe a couple years before I get retired.
Yeah.
Because when I get retired, who's gonna walk the malls with me? Who's gonna go check my blood pressure at the drugstore? Who's gonna go to all my doctor's appointments with me?
The blood pressure.
Right? We can do it together. It's not by yourself. Right? All the old people stuff. Who's gonna go on that Alaska cruise with me? I need a little buddy.
Oh, that's cute.
I want that when I get
buddy.
Yeah.
Now I have no time. I have things that I got to do, people I want to hang out with. So I'm like, no, husband,
That's
don't
a dream.
Wait a minute.
Hit me up just like 60, 62,
Andrea,
63.
There's a happy
Be ready to go.
I feel like there's a happy medium, which is my parents, who've been married for over 50 years. They're in their 80s now, and they do have like, I don't think they take each other's blood pressure, but maybe they do. But
We take each other's blood pressure.
They do like lots of like things together, but there's also a bit of a distance. My dad's not my mom's shadow, though. Like I think.
There's something there. You know what? If I had to give advice to this couple, I'd say have a kid. It's just going to change the whole.
They're retired.
Get a puppy.
Oh,
honestly, it's going to change things for them. Get a dog.
Right.
Like if you want, because he's acting like the puppy right now,
Okay.
right? Like she comes home in the article. It says she comes home and he's like, and she wants to go upstairs. You know, right after she comes home and change, and he just follows her upstairs.
Yeah.
Like that's a puppy.
Yeah,
He's lost. He's a little lost.
It's true. I will just end with this. Like there is so much research to show that in long-term couples, you do need that distance, especially in order to find your partner like attractive, to get horny for them. It's like you need to see them doing their own thing. You need a bit of mystery, so don't be afraid to let some space in between. Don't be afraid.
You're saying this.
My retirement husband right now, be on me. Everywhere I am, you're right there. Right there. Like my purse right underneath my arm. That's what I want.
Pay transparency is coming to Ontario, so we're about to find out how much our co-workers make. Well, sort of. Many Canadian employers will be required to publish salary ranges on job postings, but is this information going to cause problems in the workplace?
No, it's about time. They should have always been doing this. As a person who has applied for a lot of jobs, listen, unemployment is not cute. The weeks turn into months, the months turn into years very quickly. And if you have a specific career and you don't just want to take any job, it gets even harder. And so when you finally find a job posting that you kind of align with, and you look at all the requirements, you're like, okay, I qualify, and then you scroll down and they don't tell you how much this job pays. What you know in your head is, as much as you want a job, you know what your bills are. You know what your monthly expenses are. So I'm like, if this job only pays $28,000 a year, as much as I would love to do the job, it doesn't cover my bills. And it's a whole process that I don't want to go through and have 2 interviews only to find out that this is your pay.
Thank you.
And now I'm like, well, we've just wasted each other's time. Please just tell me the range so I know
to apply or not.
Let's not waste each other's time. We should have been always doing this. I can't believe we're just doing this now.
So true. I was just offered an anchor job recently, and I was called for this job, and the person was like, oh, well, this is great exposure, and you're gonna work with this person, you guys get along, you know each other, and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop you there. How much would I make? Because I'm like, you know what, we can go down this long road, and I don't even know if I don't even want this job. So it has to be a lot. And I think this person was taking it back, like, okay, yeah, but let's keep talking, let's meet. I'm like,
it's like
no,
a dance almost.
No, we're not gonna meet, we're not gonna have coffee, we're not gonna have we're not gonna do that. Just tell me.
Because it's work.
Yeah.
Was that scary for you to say? Like, was that?
No, because I know my worth, and I didn't really want to do
That's
it.
right.
So
Let's
it
not waste
didn't
your
really
time.
matter. I was like, let's not waste each other's time.
Yes.
You're gonna put your eggs in my basket. I'm not into it.
So why do you think it's taken this long for this to even be part of the conversation?
It's a great question. I have no idea, but I can mostly only see the positives, because if you think about it, we shop around for when we buy a new car, even sometimes if we're looking for butter on sale. So the idea of shopping around, like having more information for us, the idea of it being, like, you can contrast and compare. There might be 2 companies, they're offering the same job, and then now with this new pay transparency, you can see that company Y pays $10K less a year for the same job at company X. So it's like the idea of, oh, this is informing us. This is only empowering us, no?
The only issue I have, go ahead, did you want to say something?
No. All I was going to say was, like, what do you think are some of the issues
here's
around it?
my issue that I think could be an issue, and I think it's when you apply for an internal job, right? It could be destabilizing to the relationship that you have with your colleagues. So you have colleague X who isn't the best performer, and then they're applying to this other job, and you're like, whoa, they're getting paid this much? They didn't even do this job at the, at the top level.
Or even if you know that person just got a brand new job that was advertised, you can see what the range was, and maybe they come in at a range that's higher than you. Does that cause employee resentment?
That's the question.
And maybe that's only a temporary thing.
I was just gonna say, I think it will cause a great deal of resentment. I think it'll cause some storms, but I think those are necessary growing pains for this to achieve, I think, what it's hoping to achieve.
Growing pains for who, though? The employer or the employee?
Both, I think. I think
as much as the employees are just like, yeah, I want to know, it's like, yes, but if your employer is also going to have to tell you the reason why I'm not paying you this much is because you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't bring this to the table, and that person brings all of that to the table. So I think it's a delicate dance on both sides. It's going to be a very prickly conversation.
And but I think in the end, right, you go into the job and you're a mediocre white guy, Chad, and somebody's like, oh, yeah, you just automatically, we make these unconscious bias statements, right? That this guy's gonna make this much money. Then I come in and I don't have the same, pedigree or whatever, and I'm gonna get this much. So I think it's really important, even in that range, that we are very specific in terms of like, for this level of education or this level of blah, 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 it's not our unconscious bias creeping in and saying,
exactly.
It's a range.
I hear what you're saying, because women are still making 78 cents on the dollar.
Exactly.
And we know that men are making more money, and if you're a woman and you're a woman of color, listen, there are a lot of women of color like, let's open the floodgates. Everybody share their number, because it's going to be a very uncomfortable conversation for a lot of people. So absolutely. All right, so let's move on to the next topic. In other news, the great Bob Dylan has let us all know that he wanted to see Mary Jo in Frankfurt. What does that mean? I felt like I was speaking another language. The iconic folk singer has suddenly embraced X and has been posting mysterious things. So does this ruin the Bob Dylan mystique for you? Okay.
It does.
They don't like it. They don't like it.
I don't want. It's like, Bob, why? Why? Like, a lot of young artists need to be on social media, right? I don't think Bob Dylan requires that. I want Bob Dylan to be better than us. I don't want him to touch it.
Maybe if Bob had a wife, he could follow around in the mall. He wouldn't have all this time for all this typing on X.
Do you think he is a little bit lonely? Like, is that part of the reason why he's trying to get?
How could you be lonely with $500 million
What about
net worth?
You can be, no, you can be
lonely.
But wasn't his brand kind of lonely and like that? Guys, you know what I think is happening?
What?
I think he thinks he's on a group chat.
Oh
And
my
here's
God.
it. I really do.
Are you saying
I
he's having
really
a junior
do.
moment?
I think he thinks he's on it, and I'll show you why, because let me show you some other tweets, okay? Look what he wrote. Last time I was in New Orleans, we ate at Dookie Chase's
Chase's, that's a great
on the
restaurant.
corner of North Miro and Orleans. If you're ever there, I highly recommend it. Something you would write in a group chat. Look at the next one. I ran into one of the Buffalo Sabres in the elevator at the Prague Hotel. They were in town to play the New Jersey Devils. He invited me to the game, but I was performing that night.
It's
Like, I don't think
love
he
it. I
knows
kinda love
that
it.
everybody is looking
Here's
at
the
this
thing. It's a
maybe.
surprising choice. We know X has become incredibly divisive. When Elon Musk took over, it's a strange platform for this sort of renegade rebel to take on. I would think he might do a Substack, where like that's where
Something like
poets and
that.
writers and
Right.
things like that are. But again, he's of a certain age, so maybe he's just like dipping his toe. I kind of now want to follow it. I'm off X
my
now.
God, me
and
too.
I kind of want to go follow.
I have a different take. Maybe he realizes he's great to a lot of us of a particular age, but there's a demographic that does not know his music or who he is. And maybe he's feeling like, maybe I do have to join just to remind these kids, hey, I'm still alive.
Do you think that
I'm
those
still
are
relevant.
That bothers me even more because I don't want Bob Dylan to want attention. I want my, I keep my artist. When just recently, I'm reading this book and I'm like, oh my God, I love this book so much. I'm gonna look up the author on Instagram and try to follow her.
Okay.
She's not on Instagram.
And you
I
love
was
her
like,
more.
that is the biggest flex I have ever seen.
Here's the problem. He's a rock star, and at the end of the day, he has an ego.
He's never craved that
I mean,
kind
but
of-
isn't that the
Openly
like?
he has
Come
it.
on, we
Openly he
know now.
has it.
Like,
Bob, get off X.
it's not a group chat.
Yeah.
Kristin Cavallari revealed on her podcast that she only wants to date men who have had a vasectomy. She called it a deal breaker because she doesn't want any more kids. So is that a fair ask for a potential suitor?
We've got both.
Yeah,
I know. We have both reactions right now in the audience. You
Interesting.
know, I think. This is personal thought. I think that it's a little hypocritical of us to say my body, my choice, and then being like your body, my choice. You know, so
Yeah.
But what we can do, ladies, is we can say, I'm not going to be on the pill anymore. We're not going to use condoms. You find a solution, and then we can withhold sex until they find a solution, which is, my body, my choice, right?
Oh my God.
I have a lot of thoughts to that.
Cynthia's like, Cynthia heard withholding sex. And she's
Her ears closed. She's like, that's not an option. Not an option.
Well, I just that to me also seems to penalize us. If we enjoy sex, like it's like I've never understood this idea of withholding sex. If it's part of your pleasure, then it's not the full solution for me. But I like the idea of getting them to consider solutions along board. I'm with you. I would never be able to say like you have to do something with your body because there's no way I would ever want someone saying that for me.
Exactly.
But I know a lot of women feel
Exactly.
differently about this.
Listen, I have a lot of girlfriends, and we've had this conversation openly with the men in the room, where once they've had their second kid, they're all like, "Oh, we're done," and he's gonna go snip, snip, snip. He's going on Thursday. I booked the appointment, and everybody was really calm with the conversation because those women are like, "Listen, when we decided to start our family, I did all the heavy lifting. You joined me for a few minutes, but I did all the heavy lifting. I carried the baby, I breastfed, and now we've decided as a family that we're done. And it's much easier for you to have this little procedure that you're in and out instead of me going to tie my tubes or have a hysterectomy, which is a full surgery, and you don't want to wear it. Most of these husbands, I'm just saying the ones that I know, don't want to wear a condom anymore. The women don't want to be on the pill because it does all kinds of things to their body. So it just seemed like the most common sense thing. But I hear what you're saying, to tell a man what to do with his body, by the way, is reversible. This thing you're trying to do.
Which is also kind of crazy.
Roughly $5,000 if you're wondering, but like they can reverse it.
Oh my
So if they get remarried, it's not like a done deal for them. But as a woman, if you get your tubes tied,
You're done.
that is it. You're done.
Wow.
Do you have no thoughts on this? Was that just a
Yeah, are you? What are you not telling us?
I know, I feel like there's a
There's
story here.
something.
It's something that's come up in my relationship. Like, it's a conversation. Two people not being like, you're getting your tubes tied. Oh, I mean, you're getting a vasectomy, or vice versa. But I will say that whenever we've talked about it, and it seemed like such a good idea for us because we don't want kids, it's sort of symptomatic of the way we do everything in our life. We have these big dreams. We talk about it. Yeah, we're gonna get a vasectomy. And then we turn the channel or fall asleep. Like we just don't follow through. So your story was making me laugh about the woman making the appointment.
Yeah.
Like maybe
but
that's what I had to do.
I think when you have one baby, I think the difference is the urgency when you have one baby on your breast and another one who's just learning how to walk, that you're gonna book that appointment because you're in a different space, right? You're in a different time of your life.
I mean, what I've heard from a lot of women is that they're at that point in their relationship where they don't want any more kids and they want to really enjoy sex. And that worry about this thing happening is on their mind. So I can see that people, again, you have to come to that conversation together. I guess to go back to the original though, is it a dating deal breaker? Like if you're out there, is it fair to make that a dating deal breaker?
Can you put it on your profile? Like, you know, vasectomy required. Like,
I love that. Are you
need not apply.
Yeah, I mean,
Is it a dating?
It's not a dating deal breaker for me because I had a hysterectomy in 2019. So it's like, vasecto you, vasecto me, it doesn't matter. We're all good over here. Do whatever you like to do. It's not a deal breaker, but I think if I'd had children already, I would think about it because I'm like, yeah, if I know that I'm done, I would prefer. And I think it's okay to say your preference and be like, listen, I don't want to have any more children. I'm going to be very transparent with you. If you want to date me and have sex, this is what I need because I just don't want to go back into that. I'm done with it and I've made my decision.
Am I the only 40-something-year-old woman who doesn't mind condoms?
Yes.
Yeah. You don't mind them? You're literally the only one. I don't know anyone else like you.
No.
You're a unicorn.
So let's not. Anyway.
Silence on that was golden. Cynthia's gonna explode during the commercial break.
Come back. We love you.
We're jealous. We're jealous.
Condoms. Good for condoms. Lovely. Anyone watching, use condoms if you need to.
Subscribe to the Social Podcast so you don't miss a fiery debate. Until next time, socialites.